So good evening, everyone. Good evening, members. Wonderful to see you all. My name is John Tisher. I'm the general manager here at your co-op. Great seeing you. And I have to say, it is so great to see so many of you here. I always like to think that with the weather, we always get a little bit lucky. And this evening, as much as it was probably a little bit rainy, a little bit dark, they had said there was going to be some pretty heavy showers, and I think the co-op good karma weather always saves us. So obviously we have a lot of things to cover this evening with you. I think some of you, when I met you at the entryway, were talking about how many board candidates we have this year, a record number 13, which is fantastic. But before that, there's a bit of a, tradition, maybe I sort of started this, in just wanting to see how long you have been as members. And so by a quick show of hands, for those of you who've been a member at the co-op for a year or less, can you quickly raise your hands? Great. Hey. Now, for those of you who've been members of the co-op anywhere between 1 and 3 years, can you please raise your hands? Oh, right. For those of you who are members of the co-op for 5 years, 5 to 10 years, please raise your hand. Oh, fantastic. And this is where it starts to get interesting. For those of you who are members of the co-op for 10 to 20 years, please raise your hand. Whoa! And then my last one is for those of you who've been members of the co-op for 20 plus years. Please raise your hand. Woo-hoo! Fantastic. Well, that's great to hear and great to see. So with that, I would like to hand off to our Vice President, Eric Bohm, who will introduce our wonderful board members. Eric.
All right, nice to meet you. I'm Eric Bohm, the Vice President of the board.
Eric.
Yes. I'm Eric Bohm. I'm the current Vice President of the board. And I want to just introduce the board members here tonight. And they'll just stand up and kind of give a little wave to the crowd. So Faye Mack is our board president. Oh, we're not taking the, yes. Jim Rudolph is our board treasurer. Allison Searson is our board secretary. Joanna Grossman, board member. Julia Curry, board member. Leah Soderquist, board member. And Caroline Keller, board member. Thank you for all coming.
Great. Perfect. So as you can see from the screen, we have a pretty packed agenda tonight. And with that, we have Julia to present to you our fantastic board candidates. Mike as well. Yep.
Thank you. Okay. How's that for volume? Okay. All right. So hi, I'm Julia Curry. I am finishing up my last year on our board because our board has term limits, which I think is a smart thing. This is my ninth and last year. And I have the pleasure of introducing our record, number slate of candidates this year. So folks who've been at this meeting before know that part of the meeting is that we give candidates the chance to share a little bit about themselves. People just have 2 minutes this year, which is pretty tight. However, we also are providing more information about the candidates. So you may have already gotten a flyer in the mail that provides a lot more information, their statements, answering, the candidate questions. That will also be posted on our website. So, I believe all the candidates are here and they are wearing buttons. So if you want to chat with them after the formal presentation, you might be able to grab that chance as well. So this year we have 4 open seats, right? We're a 9-person board, and so typically every year we have 3 seats open. This year we had one board member who had to end his term early because he moved out of state. So we have a 4th position for someone, and that would be a 2-year term. So lots of candidates, lots of slots. So please, now that, once you've heard about the candidates, please make sure to vote. As our co-op grows, we have over 13,000 members, I believe, thereabouts. And so as our co-op grows, we would love to see more and more members voting. So please put out the word to your friends who are members to really check out the election and, figure out the basis for making a decision and voting, participating in who runs our co-op. We do have 2 voting booths over there in the space, so you could vote if you choose to this evening before you leave. But otherwise, you can do it online. Pretty straightforward process, I would say. But staff can certainly help you if you have any trouble using the voting platform online. And October 21st is the last day to vote. But what the hey, go ahead and get it done tonight or tomorrow, and then you're all set. Right? So this year, for the first time, we did give candidates the option to record a little statement on video instead of assuming everyone would necessarily be here to speak, which I like because public speaking is not a huge part of the board role, right? So people shouldn't necessarily be judged on that. So we do have one candidate, Allison, who chose to record a video, and she is here tonight. So before we run, I'm just gonna ask her to stand up so you see who it is, and she'll be available to chat afterward. But let's go ahead and do that video.
Hi, I'm Allison Oscar, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm running for the City Market Board of Directors. As a longtime resident of downtown Burlington, the co-op has always been an amazing resource for me. It has inspired me to cook more adventurously. It has inspired me to try growing my own food. It has connected me and educated me about more local producers. And most importantly, it has supported my very real addiction to local cheeses. I'm a numbers person by trade, and I've worked in finance supporting both small and large businesses in our community. But what I find most important and most rewarding in the work that I do is to take those numbers and connect them with people, with things, with ideas, and with actions. I see my role as one to bring people together to accomplish a shared goal using inquiry, optimism, enthusiasm, and as much cheese as possible. I'd like to take this enthusiasm and bring it to the City Market Board of Directors. I would like to be a voice of our community as well as a resource for our community. As members of the board, I think we have the opportunity to be ambassadors, to pass along ideas, and to foster feedback and change. I think it sounds like a ton of fun, and I hope you'll consider me for this opportunity.
Thanks, Allison, for pioneering this approach. I hope that more candidates will also take advantage in the future. Our remaining candidates are just going to come up and speak. And again, 2 minutes goes by quickly, so I'm going to signal to folks when they have 10 seconds left. And we're going to ask everyone to just keep it moving so that we stay on track. So I'd like to next introduce Ben Cadwallader.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Ben Cadwallader. I'm really excited to be here with all of you tonight. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. And I'm here, like many of you, because I love City Market. I grew up in South Burlington. I'm a resident of the South End. I've lived there for 4 years. And so I've seen what that new location has done for our neighborhood and continues to do for our neighborhood. And it would be an honor to serve on the board. I got a chance to learn a little bit about how City Market functions, the governance structure. And I love the policy governance model where we as owners empower the board and give the board responsibility and oversight, where the board is accountable for the success of the co-op. And that means that as I understand it, the focus of the board is strategy, is not in the weeds and inventory and sales and stuff like that. And I'm the executive director of the Vermont Symphony Orchestra, and I think like that every day. I love that work, and I would love to apply it to this incredible resource that we have in our community. And then the third thing, so this might be a little weird, but I'm a curious person. I love bringing people together. I love solving problems in a group. And this is something I've never done before. I've never put myself out like this in kind of a campaigny kind of situation. And this is a really exciting opportunity for me personally, and I'm really excited to get to know the wonderful people on the board. Yes, I see, I'm getting there. 30 seconds. So wonderful people on the board, and it's been just a pleasure to get to know all of you, and I hope you'll consider voting for me. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Ben. And I next want to introduce Bob Wolf.
Thank you. I practiced this. It was a minute 58. I got to start right now. Good evenings, fellow City Market members. Thank you for listening to me, and I'm honored to be up here asking for your support to be on the board. Why am I running? Well, I've always been intrigued by City Market's success over the years, from a small co-op in the Old North End to one of the national leading co-ops in the nation. In addition to really good food, I see City Market's success attributed to its mission, which has made it a community leader and a local economic engine for local farmers. Our family has been buying groceries at the downtown since its opening, and I love the store, including the 300 friendly, helpful employees, the green design, and the beautiful new South End store. And I've always had an interest in food and agriculture since my days at UVM. In my view, City Market is in a transformational phase with the opening of the South End store. Sales continue to grow. However, the co-op has taken on a large amount of debt that needs to be carefully managed. So what do I have to offer as a board candidate? I've been in banking for 35 years, and I have a strong understanding of lending, business finance, accounting, and budgeting. I also currently serve as the treasurer and was past president of the First Congregational Church on South Winooski Avenue, just up from the store. I also understand how important mission is to the organization's success from my service at First Congregational Church, and also service on other boards, including Good News Garage, which provides affordable transportation for those in need, and Rebuilding Together, a home rehabilitation organization allowing people to remain in their homes. I'm excited at the prospect to be able to serve as City Market, and I hope you will consider me as a candidate. And thank you for listening.
Thanks. Oh, there we go. Caitlin Waddick.
You have to act as if it were possible to radically transform the world, and you have to do it all the time. This is a quote from Angela Davis, and what I want to say is that I think the board could spend as much of a quarter to a third of its time doing long-term visioning about, with our cooperators, about our successes, how to expand on our successes, and how to scale them up. So we are a cooperative. We are a member of a network of cooperatives. We're a cooperative grocery store, and we're a member of a network of cooperative grocery stores. What are the lessons? What are the successes that we can scale up with these other grocery stores, with these other cooperatives? And what are the ways that we can, radically transform the world? So I think there's a role for us in working together with members, with other of our partners in Burlington, and figuring out what we can do. The long-term success of City Market will depend, the financial success of City Market will depend on the success of our community. So I think that's where we need to really think about member participation and our participation in these other networks, and really empower ourselves and each other. So I want to do some dreaming. Let's dream together.
Thanks, Caitlin. Our next candidate is Caroline Keller.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me all right? All right. So I just want to first thank you all for coming out tonight to support City Market. I'm a proud City Market board member and member worker. Having served on the board for 4 months now, my appreciation for City Market and its hardworking staff has only grown deeper. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank City Market, its members, and especially its staff. Thank you for feeding, educating, inspiring, and investing in our community. I just want to share a little bit about myself, my relationship with City Market, which began in college. I was buying a lot of ramen and discounted Annie's. The next year, I discovered City Market's member worker program. I started volunteering, learning about our local food system, in addition to receiving a sweet discount. The following year, I started taking City Market's cooking classes. My eating habits began to change as I learned about the value of the food I purchased, its impact on my personal health, the environment, and the people that grew and processed it. So, suffice it to say, the more I interacted with City Market and the more I learned, the more I wanted to engage. I encourage others to do the same, and I'm so excited to see how many folks are running this year. I'm running for City Market Board of Directors because I see so many opportunities to strengthen a community I love. As a board member, I'd like to focus on cultivating City Market as a driver of change, reducing City Market's ecological footprint, as well as creating a more inclusive environment for all members of our community. And finally, fostering great education about food systems, specifically the cost of food and waste. I believe City Market is the center of our community, and I'm eager to learn and to contribute to its sustainability. Thank you.
Eric Bohm is our next candidate.
Hello, I'm Eric Bohm. I'm the current vice president of the board and finishing my first 3-year term. In those first 3 years, we did a lot. We opened a second store, and I was able to bring my financial experience to help steward that along, and it's something that I'm going to be proud of for the rest of my life. When I look here today at the 13 people running for the board, as well as the hundreds of other people here, it reminds me that this is not a grocery store first. This is a community organization, and that's how I've always seen it, and I know that's how everyone else on the board feels. I live in the South End with my wife and 2 little boys, and we think of City Market not just as a place where we get healthy food, but also a place that acts as a role model for businesses in this community. And that's a trend that I really want to see as my boys grow up. Other organizations kind of following that lead, and for City Market to keep on leading that way. I've worked for a long time in a financial role in social mission-driven organizations. Locally, I was with 7th Generation here, and now I'm the director of finance at United Way. So with that experience, I bring kind of a combined role of community benefit and financial sustainability, and both those priorities are needed for City Market to thrive. The priorities that City Market has beyond the core business model are supporting agriculture, eliminating hunger, and upholding environmental causes. These are all becoming harder and harder to do in our business and political atmosphere that we're living in right now. And that means that the co-op needs to work harder and harder while the grocery industry is getting more and more competitive. Think about the new construction on Shelburne Road happening locally, and nationally, Amazon and Whole Foods, kind of changing the market. And expanding to 2 stores was essential to increasing our impact. And with this all in mind, I think we need to double down on demonstrating our value to our members and the community. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Our next candidate is Jude Demers.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. It's an honor to be running for the board, as fellow candidates have said, and what a nice, rainy, chilly, 50-degree day with rain intermittent. I joked with my sister, I said, I'll say a vote for me is a vote for freedom. A vote for me is a vote to save the planet. At any rate, thank you all again. Thanks for your time. I'm very appreciative. And you know, can't go wrong with 13 candidates, right? I'm just one of 13, so. And there's 4 slots, right? You can't really vote wrong. It's a beautiful thing. I've really enjoyed being a cooperative member. I was a child in a food co-op, and we had semi-trucks that would deliver the food. Maybe one year we had a storefront, and then we went back to the semi-trucks delivering the food as a child. So I have to thank my mother for being here in the universe, and I'm so appreciative. And I'd entertain questions, but that's not part of this. Hope everyone's enjoying the food. It looks like a great spread. This is the 3rd day of a liquid fast for me, so today's my juice fast component of my fast. The apple cider's great. Has anyone got to try it? It is apple season in Vermont, so, you know, enjoy, bon appetit. Really, again, appreciative to be here and appreciative of your time. And look at this, 14 seconds, 13 seconds, 12 seconds. 10. In Hollywood, they go,
Next up, we have Jared Nepper.
Good evening, co-op member owners. Thank you for being here tonight. As was just noted, I am Jared Nepper. I am a 3-year City Market member and a big fan of the chicken pesto sandwich. I am a recent graduate of Champlain College. Just this past May, I graduated from Champlain's Management and Innovation program in the Stiller School of Business and chose to stick around in Burlington and make this a more permanent home for myself. I have since started working as the Development Coordinator and Strategic Project Specialist for a great little nonprofit generator in the south end of Burlington, whose work focuses primarily on entrepreneurial incubation, workforce development, and equity in STEM education. So it's a thrilling place for me to be as I begin my professional career here. I'm drawn to work that revolves around strategy, especially as it intersects with communities of which I am a part, and especially where it focuses on equity and access, both of which are, I think, especially vitally important in food systems, and I love the work that City Market is doing there. I have been to 3 board meetings already just as an observer and listener, and have thoroughly enjoyed my time there, getting to know the nuances of how this system operates in this cooperative structure, and hope to dive into that deeper. I am a data fiend, and I very much enjoy digging into the details there, and I'm an incessant inquirer. I ask a lot of questions, and those 2 things together, by virtue of asking many questions and loving data, I have developed a knack for discerning important things, those indicators and those trends and themes that make decisions most informed. So I hope to bring that to the work at City Market and implore you to read more about myself and all the other candidates in the brochures that await you in your mailboxes if you have not retrieved them already, to get more familiar with who it is you're voting for. Thank you for this opportunity and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Okay. Our next candidate is Jody Landon.
My paper is bigger because I need bigger writing. My name is Jody Landon. I've been a member of the co-op since 1976. I realize that's longer than many of you have been alive, okay? Oh, they can hear me probably without it. I originally joined a buying group in Essex Junction when the co-op was only buying groups on Archibald Street. 18 months ago, I moved to Burlington from Essex, and last week I retired. I need something to do. I find the co-op well managed and the board well run, and so that is not why I am running. I'm running because I would like the board to be more reflective of the makeup of the membership in all the richness and the diversity that we see when we walk into the stores. I can't offer you an ethnicity or heritage that is particularly diverse, but there are many members of my age who are co-op members that could be represented by a cohort on the board. I've spent my, thank you, don't use my time. I have spent my career in diversity, first at the Refugee Resettlement Program and for the last 33 years as a training team leader in a program that brings young women and men from all over the world, 18 to 26 years old, for cultural and educational exchange. Lest you think I've forgotten my own age group, for 9 years I've been on the board of the Converse Home, one of only 2 nonprofits in Chittenden County providing assisted living and memory care to aging residents. I'm currently board chair serving a 3-year term. I have to say, I sat at the co-op meeting last week and noticed a big sign on the wall about diversity, diversity for workers and diversity for members. I would like to bring to this board a focus on representing the rich palette that we're so fortunate to have. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Katara Hopkins.
Thank you. I'm glad there's a microphone. Good evening. I'm Katara Hopkins. I'm really excited to be here this evening. Thanks for taking the time to listen to our speeches and to read our bios and to vote. We clearly have a great representation and well-qualified candidates, and I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to be among them. I struggled a little in writing this speech after attending a board meeting and seeing the strengths of the existing board members. I questioned my own qualifications for the role. I don't have directly relevant experience, but I do have the passion and the drive. I'm willing to listen and to learn. I'm a dentist, and before that was a registered nurse. I've always focused on prevention and wellness as the best medicine. Keeping people healthy starts with a healthy community and environment. Activity, moderation, sleep, stress regulation, clean water, and healthy foods are the foundation. This link is why I'm drawn to serve on the board. I value what City Market does within and for our local community, for individuals, agriculture, and the environment. I want to engage in these efforts more deeply, and I bring a fresh perspective to the table. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Okay. Our next candidate is Christina Sweet.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Christina Sweet, member number 17529. I actually just learned that when I filled out my application, and I finally memorized it after 7 years. And I'm running for the board of our co-op. I've spent nearly my entire career working in food and agriculture, from literally chopping onions to running a cafe to managing farmers markets to my current role at the Vermont Agency of Agriculture. I spend much of my time now managing federal grants and working collaboratively with Vermont fruit and vegetable growers on food safety. And when I'm lucky, I get to award some of the state and federal dollars that our agency receives to farmers and to organizations that support the agricultural economy in the state. So I bring this leadership experience and expertise to the board, but more importantly, I bring my propensity to listen before I speak, an inclination to discuss and deliberate before I decide, and a desire to help guide City Market Onion River Co-op toward a future where our members and our community are even better served than they are now. My priorities as a board member would be to increase member engagement in decision-making, ensure the co-op's financial stability and its commitment to its workers, and finding new ways to serve our diverse communities in the greater Burlington area. But before I leave the spotlight tonight, I'd like to thank a particular friend, a longtime employee of the co-op, and his partner who encouraged me to run for the board in the first place. It was something that I've been thinking about for a few years, but it was their encouragement that really led me to consider my commitment to the goals of our co-op. And I now know that I'm ready to invest my time and energy into making this significant community asset and excellent place to shop even stronger. Thank you.
Okay. Our next candidate is Matt Mulligan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Mulligan. Last couple of these presentations I've had to give, I've usually talked about what me and my team have done. I'm currently a software engineer over at DO.com, but I've worked the better part of the last 10 years at Market Basket in Masson, New Hampshire as the engineering manager there. So I have plenty of experience in the grocery, and I have a little bit of a different take on the aspect of doing that and managing the IT side of grocery stores, making sure that systems are secure and credit card information doesn't get stolen, stuff like that. So I had a big role in that to do. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now? So I had a lot to do with that in my prior role, and that's something that I look to bring to the City Market Board, and a different kind of perspective on things. Like Jared, I'm a very inquisitive person. I like to ask questions if I don't know the answer, and I'm not afraid to ask a question. So I feel like I'd be a valued member of the board, and I would really appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Okay, and our last candidate, Samuel Warbell.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm the last one. I'm Sam Warble, and I want you to elect me to the board of directors. For the past couple of election cycles, I've been flirting with the idea of running, but this time I'm actually doing it, so please vote for me. I'd like to be on the board for a variety of reasons, but the biggest driver is I simply love the co-op and I feel deeply rooted to it, like I think we all do. I believe that City Market Cooperative is one of the most important cultural entities in Burlington. The two stores tell the story of our town. When guests come to visit, the touring checklist usually includes the waterfront, a brewery or two, a stroll down Church Street, and a stop at City Market, because our cooperative is more than just a place to buy groceries. It's a place that contributes to the identity of us as individual member owners, and in turn, the co-op's identity is shaped by us. The co-op's commitment to diversity, to supporting local food systems, and to its own principles are at the forefront of its storefronts. So how am I qualified? Well, for starters, as an owner of local businesses, I understand the financial and policy challenges of trying to evolve and stay contemporary while honoring clear values and global ends. In serving on this board, I would bring my own experiences. But more importantly, I'd bring my own character. I'm smart. I enjoy learning and I ask a lot of questions. I'm not afraid to stir something even if I know the results may stink. And I play well with others. I truly believe that 2 minds, or in this case, 9 minds, are better than 1. Please feel free to chat with me afterwards, talk about my candidacy, and don't forget to vote. Thank you.
Right. So before we turn this, I just want to say once again, and I think some of you had when you were coming in talking about the number of candidates we had. And once again, it is a new record to have 13. I am just astounded and so grateful that everyone stayed within their 2 minutes. I cannot tell you how that is really great to see. And so I'd just like to say, for all 13 candidates, if we could all just give them a round of applause. Thank you all for your interest in the co-op. With that, I'd like to transition to our next portion with the Don Tram Community Award, Community Service Award. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to our board member, Joanna Grossman. Joanna?
Hi, everybody. Sorry, we had a little snafu there. So my name is Joanna Grossman, and I'm on the board. And real talk, it's a little nerve-wracking up here. But my job tonight, I kind of put that aside because I was so excited to talk to you guys about the Don Tram Award. The Don Tram Award is this amazing thing that we do every year, and it's to honor someone who's a really extraordinary member of the community. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys about a community leader, someone who has led the Old North End Community Dinner for years. She's also a friend of mine, an amazing physical therapist in the area. She is also the kind of person who really lives her values and who I'm just really proud to know. And she really has this one-on-one generosity that isn't the kind of thing that you get member hours for. She's just a really amazing and extraordinary person. And so I'm really happy to give this award to Janet Karskadin. Okay, and so we're going to introduce Don Schramm, the namesake of the award now.
Oh, okay. I'll step into the light. Wow, I'm incredibly honored. I got a call a few weeks ago that that they're offering, honoring me with this award, and I was very humbled because there's so many people in this community who have done so much for so long. But if you don't know about the community dinner, it's in the Old North End, and it's been going on for I'm not even sure how long, at least 15 years, probably longer than that. And I was. Okay, low 20, there we go. But it was suggested to me that I should get involved in the community dinner because of my love of food and some organizational skills. And it has been an incredible thing for me because I've gotten to meet so many people. I was actually living in Richmond at the time, and coming in to help with the dinner, and had then moved into Burlington. And there's just an incredible number of people that come from all parts of Vermont. Like they're not even just in Chittenden County that come in and help out with this dinner. And this dinner has grown from being 25, 30 to 50 people, and now serves 150 people once a month now at the St. Joseph's space, the One Community Center. And the whole idea behind it is to help to get people involved in local politics, which is pretty cool. So our Neighborhood Planning Association for Wards 2 and 3 is right after the dinner. And most of those NPA meetings get 6, 10 people, and we have 150 people all there with local politics, talking about it. It's kind of incredible. And we're supported by the farmers, so we serve local organic food. It's also a stealth vegan dinner. I'm a vegan, and we started to use really, really good food, so it was pretty amazing that people came and they'd be like, "What's in this? Is this vegan?" I'd be like, "Yes, everything's vegan." And the vegans were like, "Wow," and the other people were like, "This is just great, wonderful food." So it's really not about me. There are so many volunteers that come out every month to put on this dinner, so I'd like to thank those volunteers. And in fact, there's probably a lot of you in this room. Are there I've seen them tonight, but I don't know if they're all here. Any of our other volunteers, they're here. So Janet Hicks is over in the corner, who's been doing this for years. Great, we got all of an incredible group of people. So I'd like to accept this in honor of the volunteers. And thanks City Market, because without City Market's support, we really couldn't have the dinner because it's grown so much. We need volunteers, and organizations struggle to get them, but not if you give out City Market member worker hours. And then you get lots of them. So we really, really, it's incredible what you've done to help to support the community. So thank you so much. Yeah.
So the sooner this gets called the City Market or Onion River Co-op Community Service Award, the better, as far as but I do appreciate the opportunity to share some of my enthusiasm for co-ops. So they did give me a couple of minutes to speak. You may see a hook come out and I disappear off out of the front here. I just want to remind all of us that our most important community service work is for us to constantly advocate for co-ops in general and for our Onion River Co-op in particular. We need to educate ourselves about the differences between our co-op and the conventional supermarkets that are all around us. And if we're not doing close to 100% of our food shopping at City Market, we need to ask ourselves, why not? And what would it take to do all our shopping at City Market? We also need to challenge our friends to do the same self-evaluation. When we think of our co-op's major stakeholders, we think of members, customers, employees, farmers, local producers, nonprofits, vendors, city and state governments, and other cooperatives. Is there a missing major stakeholder? How many of you know of Extinction Rebellion? Put your hands up. Extinction Rebellion. If you have not heard of Extinction Rebellion, I would encourage you to Google them. The organization started in London a year ago and is now worldwide. Well, Extinction Rebellion would say that Mother Earth is a missing stakeholder, and the most important one, given that human extinction may well be just around the corner. This is a major difference between City Market and other grocery stores. Mother Earth is a major stakeholder in our co-op. The range of actions City Market has taken to become a better partner for Mother Earth is impressive. From solar panels to electric car chargers to more composting and recycling of the waste stream to reducing the sale of plastic water bottles to lowering the use of paper and plastic bags to investing in state-of-the-art refrigeration in our South End store, reducing our store's reliance on fossil fuels and minimizing the amount of CO2 that we create. As far as efficient and environmentally friendly refrigeration goes, we are the leader in Vermont, and people from all over come to learn from us. I'm sure John will fill you in with more details later. So if you cannot find any other reason to do all your food shopping in the co-op, do it for Mother Earth. Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to do a photo.
John, do you want to get a photo with Joanna? Yes? Okay. Phone? Right. Now we'd like to
be on at the same time?
I think we can.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yep. Can you hear me if I'm talking? No. Can you hear me if I'm talking like this? Okay, so it's not the mic. Yeah, I can just use the handheld. Okay. Now, can you hear me?
Great.
All right.
So in just a moment, I really would like to have Faye, our board president, open the section. But before I do, I think all of you have mentioned, as I've met with many of you throughout this evening, just how great certainly connecting with everyone has been, but also that the food has been really exciting and delicious. And so I just want to take a moment because I know that as the evening gets a little bit late, some of you may migrate outside to some extent, but before that, really just to thank all the people, all of our vendors, our local partners, certainly our amazing staff. Just a quick round of applause to really thank them for their amazing work tonight. And with that, Faye Mack.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to step into the light. My name is Faye Mack. I'm the board president, and I also just want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Thank you for being here tonight, but even more importantly, thank you for being at the co-op every day, twice a day, every week, and for your membership and for your participation in the cooperative. We wouldn't be here without all of you, so thank you for being part of our co-op. And so John and I now get to come up and share a little bit about what's been going on over the last 12 months since we last saw you here. And before we enter into the PowerPoint presentation, I just wanted to share a little bit from the board perspective. So it's been almost 2 years since we opened the South End store. And in the last 12 months, as in the previous 12 months, and the previous 12 months before that, there's been a lot of learning, a lot of adapting, and a lot of growing. The board works very closely with John and with staff throughout the year, learning, tracking, monitoring, asking questions, and working on all of the things that we'll talk about in this presentation. But there's also some work that we do as a board to help make our board the best board that we can be. And one of those projects has been it's come up tonight, and I'm excited to share a little bit about what we've been doing. And that we've been spending some time over the last couple of years, and we'll continue to do so because we're just at the beginning of working to make sure that the board is representing our membership and the community, and that we're an inclusive and welcoming place to come to board meetings and to join and to be part of. So this year, we've kicked off a couple of changes to the board election process that you may have noticed. One of those is that we've created a new committee within the board to help try to provide more one-on-one support for people who are interested in running for the board by board members. So board members have been more available this year and reached out more to provide support and answer questions for people who are interested in running for the board. And we also developed a new description of what it actually means to be a board member, what it doesn't mean to be a board member, and have been enhancing our outreach. And so this year we have a record number of board candidates, and I'm hoping that some of our work has something to do with that. But we also have a lot more work to do to make sure that the board is representative of our membership and of the community. So that's work that I'm really excited about that we're continuing to do, and we welcome any of your feedback and ideas on that and the rest of the board's work. So please come to a meeting, reach out to any of us, and would love to talk more about that. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to talk a little bit more about what we're doing.
Right. Thanks, Faye. Okay. Okay. So for the next sort of few slides, just really wanted to provide you, and I always like to say that there's a bit of a sand clock type of approach that we have used to build this presentation. So some big picture things to begin with, and I'll add some verbiage around some of the slides, because I know all of you can see things very clearly. So from a sales standpoint, I know many of you have often maybe wondered how, as a co-op, we have been doing. And I will never forget the day we opened the South End store, November 16, 2017. It was a memorable day. And as you can see from our sales, FY 2018 was when, during that financial period, was when we opened the South End store. So we had some great growth. But as you look at 2019, we just finished on June 30th, 2019. We have exceeded now 53 million in annual sales. It is really an amazing number. And so that 9.9% increase is pretty significant. It's even more significant when you look at what we had budgeted for, which is about 8.5%, which is exceeding actually the forecast we had made a little over 3 years ago. So on many counts, sales is extremely healthy, and that is really all because of you. And as we look at sort of that breakdown, you'll notice the contributions from members versus non-members, really a healthy growth rate. Local, which we'll speak about a bit more, but that number of 41% is a very healthy number. A lot of other co-ops look at that number and they are astounded by our percentage of local. And certainly in terms of the contributions coming from both the downtown store, and the downtown store percentage is missing there. It's about 65%, whereas the South End is 35%. So roughly about a 2/3, 1/3 split. Okay. Moving on to local. I often talk at new employee orientations about really the definition of local. Because the reality is that in the food space, a lot of people reference local in a variety of different ways. But here at City Market Onion River Co-op, we define local as anything that is grown or predominantly manufactured here in Vermont. And I share that because I really want to be clear, as the co-op, we really take a very reasonable definition of the word co-op. And I believe other co-ops, other food co-ops across the country have a sense of reason with that. But the reality is that within the general food space, the food retailer space, people abuse that definition. And so for us, certainly being very central in Vermont, that we are able to define as such. And as you'll see, as Don talked about earlier, now, those 3,100 plus local products that make up that 41% of sales is astounding. And last year, just to put it in perspective, we had about 40% local sales. So that is growing. That is growing even as our sales grow over 9%. And once again, that is really because of all of you. Okay? I think if we move on then to some of the challenges and successes we've had since becoming a multi-store co-op. So once again, there are a lot of successes. We've created new jobs. We've been able to promote from within. And certainly, for the South End store, we have been able to see incredible growth from both a sales standpoint, from a service standpoint in terms of our community teaching kitchen. And for those of you who haven't taken a class, it sells out about 99.9% of the time, so I would say register fast. I'll also say that we have our neighbors in Petroglyphs that we sold the parcel to. And talking to Andrea and Steve, and I think all of you know that Petroglyphs, another great partner in the community. We were so pleased to make that announcement early this winter, and we know that they are going through the permitting process that we went through to then build a new site right next to the South End store. And I think I get asked this question a lot by other people too, because in some ways people may criticize the co-op for opening the South End store and taking on a significant amount of debt. And that is true. As an expansion project, we are the largest expansion project in the country that the cooperative food grocery channel has seen. But at the same time, we have to remember the reason for that. And the reason was, as a one-store co-op, we had the second highest sales in the country. And that is an extremely amazing achievement, but at the same time, it created some key concerns around health and safety for our staff, and certainly for our members and our customers. I still get comments, and I think some members were saying today to me, John, we love the downtown store, but we're so glad you have the South End store now because we just don't like your parking lot in the downtown. And it's so true. We understand that, and that was really the purpose of that South End store. And it has achieved that goal of really relieving some of that tremendous member and customer traffic in the downtown to the South End. In terms of challenges, operations is still in a time of settling. It is difficult to run two locations. And we just had the CEO of National Cooperative Grocers come visit us last week. And he emphasized to our managers to say that the biggest challenge that co-ops face is when they go from one store to two stores. Not when they go from 2 to 3 or 3 to 4, 4 to 5. It's that 1 to 2. There are a lot of co-ops that really struggle during that period. And so we are going through some challenges. But at the same time, we are adjusting. And really just credit to our staff and our board to provide that support and understanding. I think the other thing to say is that with regards to our financial forecast, because I know that some of you are probably wondering when will the co-op get back to profitability? If I were standing here 3 years ago, which I was, right here, I would have said by 2023, our forecast says that we will be back to profitability. However, a lot has happened since then. Our sales are doing better than what we forecasted, but we've also uncovered some things in terms of how to look at investing in our downtown store, which has gone through quite a bit of traffic by all of you throughout the years, and it's time to invest and rather to prolong that. It's really important for us to make those investments now and not wait. We've also uncovered that our systems in certain areas like IT really need to be upgraded and to be invested in. So we are taking those steps now. Why? To build a strong foundation, because if we don't do those investments down and just push them down in future years, we will struggle. So it's better to take on those challenges now and make sure we have a strong base. Next one. Moving on to our amazing staff. So I will say that our staff, so I think all of you know, and I know board candidates reference it as well, our staff works so hard. They work so hard. So And they are so dedicated, they care, and it's always great to see, and I think all of you feel it. Everyone will probably know that I like to talk about the vibe at the co-op. We've heard comments about how we're not just a grocery store. We are a place of connection and a place of community that really is pivotal to our broader community at large. And really, it's because of our staff. And so, it's really exciting for me, on behalf of really our entire staff, to share with you, because I know many of you might have heard, I hope you have heard, and you will have noticed that we had some extended union contract negotiations over the last 3 months or so. But I'm happy to share that on Monday, or I should say Tuesday morning at 2 a.m., we have reached a tentative agreement for a 3-year contract. Yeah. And as part of that contract, just a couple of things that, once again, it's a tentative agreement, so it still needs board ratification. It still needs a vote by the union staff as well, so those things are in progress. But there are a couple of key points just to raise, because I did receive a number of customer comments and member feedback just in terms of the area of around our compensation, which really consists of wages and benefits. And so I'd like to really share some points on that. The first is that based on our existing contract, so not our new one that will hopefully be voted and ratified, the wage scale that we had for starting wages, depending on the grade, were between $11 to $18. Okay? And I would just say that as a co-op, throughout the years, we have invested in our staff. And as much as people have sent messages, and certainly I have responded to those messages around, we should be doing better, it's absolutely true that we have continued to invest, and we will continue to invest. But the news that I have to share with you today is that we now have starting wages that start at 13 to 20. And that's a pretty significant investment by the co-op. And once again, that is really the result of some really hard work, both with the union negotiating team and the management negotiating team over the last 3 months to reach that point. At the same time, benefits, a crucial part of the compensation with staff at the co-op. I know that some of you have referenced to me, there are other places that offer $15. And I'll say yes, but let's look a little below the surface. There are places that offer $15. And some of those places offer those and limit the working hours so that they don't have to pay benefits. I'm sure that all of you would say, well, that doesn't sound right. It isn't. And at the co-op, throughout the years, we have always looked at compensation to be wages and benefits. That balance is key. So currently, the benefits at the co-op will remain. They include everything from 4 to 6 weeks of PTO, 18% staff discounts on purchases at the co-op, excluding alcohol, and 25% with the hot and cold food bar. Certainly in terms of insurance coverage, certainly for our part-time and our full-time staff, currently on the contract, it's anywhere from 90 to 100% coverage that is given by the co-op. And then certainly a 6% 401k match. And I know many of you will say, wow, those benefits sound incredible. And they are. And they are because our values lead with how we invest in our staff. I will also say, though, with this new contract, with those changes, we are making some changes to the staff contribution portion for those benefits for part-time and full-time staff. But what I will say, because some of you may be wondering, so John, what is the path to 15? And so an example, at our lowest grade, which is a grade 2, that is our lowest grade, and at that first stage, what we call step 1, an existing employee, if they were making $11.95 based on the current contract, in the new contract, they will be making $13.26 to start with. And within 3 years, their wage alone will go up to about $14.35. So that, to say, is on the path to how we feel and we believe that we can actually outpace what is being discussed at the Vermont State Legislature level of getting to 15 by the year, I believe it's 2024-25. So just to really reassure you that certainly at the co-op, because of the collective discussions that have been happening throughout the years between the union and the management teams, that we have been able to set that precedence. And we realize that other co-ops across Vermont and certainly within the country look to us to also lead in that way. So really just wanted to share that exciting news with you. So as we talk about our staff, I think you've heard the number 300 being put out. So we have about 330 plus amazing staff at the co-op. Another statistic to be really mindful of is our full-time, part-time ratio. Don talked about, obviously, about Mother Earth. But even if we look at a very basic level, traditional retailers usually do a flip of that. They keep the part-time high and the full-time low. We don't. We don't. Why? Because we believe in continuity. And so you might be surprised to learn that actually our tenure among our general staff and our managers ranges from 3 to 6 years. And that is because we have staff that certainly are mission-driven, but I also think we have staff that are committed to really serving you, our members, and our customers in the best way possible. Staff well-being is another important component. And a lot of work has been done over the last 12 months between July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2019 around activities. And I know this is a pretty busy slide, but we wanted to showcase all the different type of options and activities that we offer our staff. And the Excellence Award, it's a great achievement. We've won it 2 years in a row. But I will say that doesn't drive us. What drives us is the value that we see and the investments we want to make in our staff. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Another key element in how we want to recognize and respect the different perspectives and the identities of all of our staff. We put in a tremendous amount of investment. I hope prior to our starting this presentation, you might have seen our diversity statement. I know it was referenced by our board candidates. We know that we need to do more. But just to share that we actually have been doing some really key work to try to build that awareness, to try to find that change that we need to find within us, because we all have biases, we all make assumptions, and the sooner we can really take that to heart and bring that awareness with each of us, we can make that change. And so just to say that we are continuing to be committed to do this work, as complex as it may be, we are willing to continue to focus our efforts.
All right, I'm going to pop back in to talk a little bit about membership. So we are so proud to say we are at 12,804 members, unless we've had somebody join tonight, which is possible. And that overall we have a pretty steady upward trend. People are joining the co-op. We did have a spike in the end of 2017 when the South End store opened. And we've seen a little bit of a dip since then. So that's something that the board and the staff are all paying very close attention to. And we've been spending a lot of time, the staff especially, really looking into that and analyzing it and getting a sense of what's happening there. You know, at the same time that the South End store opened, the store also the co-op became unprofitable, which changed the patronage refund that folks were receiving, which was one of the more kind of obvious and tangible benefits of membership. So we also had a lot of folks who were new to the cooperative model and new to the co-op who joined when they started shopping at the South End store or at the downtown store because it got a little bit quieter. So that's something that we're continuing to pay close attention to, and we're excited to make some changes and some investments in membership over the next year plus to really help share the message about the value of membership. There's some of the benefits of membership that are listed on the screen, and share the cooperative difference in what, everything that Dawn said. Dawn should just go around to everybody who lives in Chittenden County and convince them to become a member. But we also will be, we're continuing to institute different ways to remind members about how to renew their membership, about their upcoming equity patronage. And we will also have a new benefit of membership, which I can't tell you what it is yet, but we'll be launching that in the new year, before the new year. So more to come about members. It's the heart, along with staff, the heart and soul really of the co-op. So a very important part. And one of the major both benefits of being a member and also the impact that members have and the co-op has on the community is a member worker program. So over 17,000 volunteer hours in the last year have been spent out in the community, which equals to over 8 full-time workers in nonprofits. So that benefits 24 different nonprofits in the community, which is really exciting. For those of you who are member workers, you are receiving an average of $993 of discounts from your groceries. I don't know if you realize that. I didn't realize it was that much. So that's really exciting. And if you see that and you want to be part of that, if you volunteer for 4 hours, if your household volunteers for 4 hours a month, you get a 12% discount. 2 hours a month and you get a 7% discount. So if you're not part of the member worker program and you're intrigued by all of this, you can find out more next time you're in the co-op. And then the final area of membership that I wanted to touch on is our Food for All members. So Food for All is a discount program that helps the co-op be more accessible to all members of our community, and helps welcome everybody in. So people who receive a Food for All membership receive 2 wonderful discounts in the store. So you get a 10% discount throughout the store, plus an additional 5%, so a 15% discount in produce and bulk, where those are the 2 best areas of the co-op to really stretch your budget as well. And so that was new recently, and we're spreading the word about that and really trying to make sure that folks know about that. And I don't know if folks know that this is a model that City Market was one of the first co-ops to launch this sort of discount, and co-ops across Vermont, across New England, and across the country have modeled their programs, their discount programs off of our discount program. So it's something to be really proud of in our community, and also something to be proud of for co-ops across the country.
Right. All right. So getting toward the end here, let's talk about the environment for a moment. And certainly for us at the co-op, we have continued to do a lot about the environment. Don referenced a number of things, so I just wanted to really touch on a few things. Certainly with the member benefit, with the RO machine, we do calculate how many plastic 20-ounce bottles that we would have used over the course of a financial year. So putting some statistics there. But the other area is really around our waste. And just to let you know, about a year ago, that waste chart looked a little different. We had about 40% composting, 40% recycling, and 20% landfill. So that's a pretty significant shift. And once again, for those of you who know about the food retail space, the waste continues to be a significant challenge. Another area, and I do have some exciting news that you'll probably spot in this slide. So first of all, the reference around the refrigeration system. It is really something that the co-op has throughout the years really looked at in terms of where can we reduce our carbon footprint. And the refrigeration system is by far the most damaging thing to the environment. So when you look at traditional refrigeration units, and having worked in the environmental space, I can tell you that traditional refrigeration units use a refrigerant called hydrofluorocarbons, HFC. And that gets put into refrigeration units, and over time, refrigeration units start to leak. So they emit this gas, and that gas is about 1,000 times more potent than CO2. And the industry average is 40%, which essentially means that over time, refrigeration units become 40% less efficient. So they emit this gas and they use more electricity. And I like to share this statistic because this is a really unbelievable, insane statistic. So at the downtown store, which does use a traditional refrigeration system, our leakage rate, or emissions rate, is 4%. It is unheard of. It is a best practice in the co-op world. And the reason why you can do this, because I've said this bit at new employee orientations all the time, is for two reasons. One, we have a third shift that looks to address and monitor each refrigeration unit every single quarter. That's over 25 refrigeration units in that downtown store. And for those of you who may know who are shopping late at the downtown store, as much as we close our doors at 11 p.m., we as staff are working behind the scenes. Why? Because it's such a busy store. It's the only way to really continue to serve our members and our customers. We also have another individual here, and I hope you do get to know him more. He is a passionate environmentalist named Brent Demirs. And he was so passionate, he got certified by the EPA around emissions and really has played a key role to continue to reduce that rate, where we've won the Green Chill Award that was administered by the EPA about 4 or 5 years ago. We won it 3 years in a row, but we've gotten to such a low percentage that it's really hard to continue to show improvement, which is the reason why I can't say we won it 4 years in a row, but just to say that that is really an insane number. The other thing is about the South End store. So you heard Don talk about our transcritical CO2 system, a bit of technology that is pretty prevalent in Europe, and it also has been done by some states across the US, but not done in Vermont. And when we designed the South End store, we thought about Mother Earth. And we knew the investment was going to be higher up front. We knew the piping system was more complex. It had never been done before by any retailer in Vermont. So what did we do? As we would all do. Why not do it? It makes sense for the planet. So we did that, and that was done and has resulted in other co-ops looking at our model, along with engineers from across the region coming to study our programs to then spread it possibly into their stores. Because at the end of the day, if City Market Onion River Co-op can do it, there's no reason why a traditional food retail chain can't. It takes that excuse away. So for us, it was really important, and I think we should all be proud and shout loud and proud about this, because we know as co-ops, we think that would be common sense to do. But we know in the world today, common sense isn't so common, nor is it so much making sense. The last thing I did want to share, and this is really exciting, is around plastics. We know plastics are a significant issue, so we have made the commitment, so be prepared, as of April 2020 during Earth Week, so I hope all of you know, and I know all of you use, the 25,000 bags that we have given out in previous years that have become collector's items, that we are going to be eliminating plastic, single-use plastic bags from our front end in both stores as of the week of April the 21st. Okay? Once again, and we aren't going to stop there. We are going to look at packaging use across the store, because we know that as much as we do it for the front end, we need to do it in other parts. Okay? So just to say, stay tuned for that. But to begin with, that is the case. Last area is about really donations and sponsorships. So we do a tremendous amount of work with your help and support to really support our various nonprofits. So whether it be around our donations and sponsorships with the different programs and partners we have with, to our seedling grant, which I hope you know, I know there are a number of seedling grant recipients here with us today, as well as our Rally for Change, and this is really out of your generosity. Those pennies, dimes, nickels at the front end when you are asked to round up. That is what we do on an annual basis collectively. And the most exciting news is we have reached 1 million with your generosity. in 5 years, where 77 nonprofits have benefited. So thank you, thank you, thank you for all your cooperative generosity throughout the years. And with that, just as a final note, I did want to really say thank you to all of you, but at the same time, really, we need to continue to do more. There is more good work to do collectively and cooperatively among us, and I am sure we are all up for that challenge. At this point, I also want to say one more thing, and I think many of you may know, so we have a really special individual among us who this membership meeting will be at least her last one to coordinate. So I do want to have Liz Jarvis, where is she? Come to the front. So I think all of you may know Liz, after a decade at the co-op, will be pursuing new opportunities and contributing really more to her social work. But really just wanted to say thank you, Liz. You have been amazing in your leadership, especially as it relates to coordinating and managing amazing membership annual meetings throughout the years. And just want to say thank you, and we will wish you well in the cooperative spirit. Thank you. So with that, this concludes sort of the presentation portion, but we have about 10, 15 minutes or so to take any Q&As that people might have. So, yes. Oh, do we need a mic? Oh.
I don't think you told us when the co-op will return to profitability. I think many are anxious to know when we will start getting a member rebate again.
Yes. Great question. So at this point, because the forecast we put together a little over 3 years ago is really no longer relevant because we are outpacing in some areas, but we are also underperforming in some areas, and the board is aware of this, that we are doing a revised financial forecast that I'll be sharing with the board by the end of this calendar year, so by December. That will outline when we believe, based on the learnings of the last really 22 months operating as a multi-store format, we will return to profitability. So at this point, I can't give you an exact timing of that because that work is happening now. But by next annual member meeting, I'll surely be able to share that. But certainly by December, I'll be sharing that with the board because that is an important point to outline.
Yes, I think I want to make a suggestion to the board members and everything that another goal be added, and I think it's laudable that this contract was negotiated, but a living wage is $15 or $16 an hour, and the goal should be everybody gets a living wage, and that should be added to the goals because I've talked to several employees who told me how tough it is to make it, and I think before we get a rebate or anything else, and I also think that this board should consider putting a worker representative or two on the board if you don't do that, like many European companies and all that, because if they're not part of the board, then that would be it would be a progressive thing to do. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
They can be on the board?
No, I think. Well, we have one here, and then we'll go there.
Yeah. Hi. My name is Jane Henley. I walk a lot, and I've noticed the cross. I'm sorry. I've noticed the crossing for pedestrians is a little dangerous. The cars are allowed to park close by, so you have to sort of wave as you're going across the street so that incoming cars can see you if they're parked right up close. And it doesn't leave enough time for cars getting out of the parking lot to notice you. So you have to, because it's really close, because it's really close to where cars are coming out, and they don't. It's not. It's a bit. You have to. Pedestrians have to be really careful at that crosswalk. And I wish that. I wish that it could be lengthened. I mean, the distance between the park where the parking lot comes out and the crosswalk could be better. Yeah.
Okay. I think if I understood the question correctly was that's regarding the downtown store and the exit entryway.
No, the south.
The south
I'm
end.
sorry, the south end store.
Yeah.
The pedestrian crosswalk is bad.
Okay. So I'll take that into consideration. I know that as it relates to the South End store, and many of you I think may know because I've certainly been approached about just the general traffic flow in the area, everything from the Briggs Street, one of the last dirt roads in Burlington situation, to the situation around the Parkway. Because we are working with the Department of Public Works to really understand traffic flow, especially as it relates to the Parkway plans that are coming in, but we will further monitor just really that entry and exit way, because we have looked at trying to improve some signage, but there were also some challenges we had with the initial design. But I'm happy to look into that further, and I will follow up with you afterwards just to get a better understanding of your concerns. I don't think the mic might be on.
All right, here we go.
Yes.
I have a slightly different kind of question, and it's about the Share the Harvest. So Share the Harvest is a statewide, long-standing thing, and basically one day a year, restaurants and co-ops and a few other things, a percentage, most of them, a percentage of what they take in that day goes to subsidizing and supporting low-income people's CSA shares. And so I'm curious, I think our participation has evolved, and I don't really know where it's at now. And I was a little concerned that it's today, and that so many of us are definitely not going out to eat to support it or whatever. And I'm confused about whether we give a percentage of our day or whether we give a flat donation. Can you explain that? And if it's a percentage, can we avoid overlapping with our annual meeting?
Yeah, can
everybody hear me without a mic or with one now? So we do participate in Share the Harvest. It's a program of NOFA Vermont, which is one of our community outreach partners. It is unfortunate that it is on the same day this year, but hopefully people were able to get out today for lunch or for some shopping. We don't do a percentage of sales just because of the way that it affects our system, and so the way that we do it is an upfront donation. So we did do a large donation to them this year. Yeah, hope that helps.
Hi, I have actually two things. I'd like to respond to what this woman said about the South End street. The store should not have been allowed to open until they fix those streets. They are unbelievably uncomfortable. In the winter, people fall on the ice all the time. In the summer, you can't open the doors of the cafe because there's so much dust coming from Briggs Street. This is a ridiculous situation that should not exist in Burlington, and there's no excuse for it, and the city should do something about it. The other thing I want to say is I don't think this person is here. I express my reservations about things fairly often, but there's one person I have never seen not working who just amazes me. His name is Joshua. He works in the deli of the downtown store. I've never seen this person not working. He doesn't dilly-dally. He doesn't talk to other people he works with. He is very polite to customers, and he works constantly, and I'd like to give him a special shout-out for that. There are many, many wonderful people in the store, but he's amazing.
Any other questions? Really? Wow. Oh, Devin? Okay.
You said you just put in a new refrigeration system. Are you evaluating whether it's actually going to save money in the long run and better, less expensive, and more efficient operations for refrigeration in that compared to the usual commercial?
So in terms of sort of the savings are pretty minimal. The savings that we saw that it would give would be around just the actual carbon footprint level is so significantly lower. Because once again, it is being powered by CO2. And so compared to traditional refrigeration units that are emitting this gas through HFC, which is once again 1,000 times more potent than CO2, when this starts to emit gas, and at some point it will only be CO2. And so that is a pretty significant step for us and also I think for other co-ops and food retailers to take into account.
With the YMCA going to be converted into a boutique hotel, I'm afraid that you may lose access to South Union Street, and I'm wondering if you have any information about that, because that could have a big impact.
No, I hear you on that totally. We are trying to understand how that will impact just that in and out for that area. At this point, I don't have any more updated information. But we are trying to understand what that impact will be. We do have an easement understanding with the city that cannot be necessarily blocked, and so the traffic through the parking lot in the downtown store would remain. But with that said, during the construction of that hotel, we are also wanting to understand better what the plans are. So I would just say at this point, I don't have any more information, but certainly we are very aware of it. Any other questions? Oh.
Hi, my name is Megan. I'm the Vice President of UE 203, which is our union local, and was a member of the bargaining team. And I just wanted to give a very sincere thank you for all of your support and continued dedication to our union while we bargained. And, you know, we're excited that we reached this tentative agreement and excited to move forward. So, but really wanted to give a very sincere thank you. So.
Right. Well, with that, if we're at time, but if there aren't any more questions, once again, just wanted to thank you all, members, for your support of the co-op. We will continue to work as hard as we can and support all of you and best serve you. Oh, sorry? Do you have another question? Okay, we're going to take one last question from Patrick. Yes, Patrick.
Thank you. I've been here this evening and listening to all the wonderful things that the co-op is doing. I had the great honor serving on the board many years ago, and at this juncture, I would like you all to give a big round of applause to the person that all makes it happen, John.
Thank you, and I would applaud all of you for that. So thank you, Patrick, for that. But really, thank you, everyone, for coming to your annual meeting. We hope to continue to serve you, our members, and our customers in our community, and look forward to seeing you at the co-op, whether at the downtown or the south end, and throughout the year. Thank you so much.